Welcome back. Still to come, David Mitchell and Jason Donovan, plus mix and match military fashion.
First, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Jonty was here with his guide to first aid for adults after a shocking new television advert highlighted just how few of us know the skills that could save a life.
Well, today, Dr. Jonty is back with life-saving advice for the little ones, something that so many people got in touch with last time and said, I don't know how to do this, I don't know the basics, please help us.
Is there much of a difference between the two?
Well, there isn't a huge difference, and I think that's one of the problems sometimes, because actually people imagine that there is, and that might put them off. So that's why I think today would be really helpful, just to go through a few of the differences, and perhaps that will reassure people that actually there is something they can do even when it's a child.
OK, should we start with choking?
Yeah, then? Absolutely. A little reminder, we've got Ben here to help her.
Hello, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Ben.
Come along in.
We've missed
Great.
you, Ben. Welcome back.
Ben's been on before, obviously. So today he's choking. Now, this is actually... So Ben is over 1, so actually the treatment for choking is exactly the same as it was with an adult.
So if 1 is the line, yes? The age of 1.
Absolutely. So the age of 1 is the cut-off, and we'll go over what to do under 1 in a second. But with someone over 1, first thing, if you can, try to get him to cough it out, if you remember from the previous show. And then, if not, what we're going to do is we're going to get Ben just to lean forward, OK, and we're going to give him 5 back blows, just in the same way, between the shoulder blades, just like the last time. OK, so 1, 2...
And would you do it harder than that normally?
You would do it harder than that. I don't want to make Ben
sick,
obviously. Yeah. So you do it a bit harder. And actually, it's not a bad idea just to check between blows, just in case something's become visible in the mouth that you can remove.
And talk to your child all the time you're doing
Absolutely.
it. Don't panic.
No, be reassuring. You know what you're doing, and then check. Again, don't put a finger in the mouth, but if you can see something, exactly, if you can see something moving. If that doesn't work, then we're on to our abdominal thrusts again. So, Ben, I'm just going to put my arm around just above his belly button, OK, a fist around above his belly button, then I'm going to use the other hand just to give some quick, sharp thrusts upwards and inwards like that. OK, and what we're doing there is we're forcing the air that's left in the lungs up, and that will hopefully propel anything that's stuck in his windpipe out of his mouth. So we do 5 of those again, and we would go through that 3 times. If that hasn't worked, call 999 and keep doing it until somebody arrives. OK? Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Done that. So with a baby, a little bit different, OK? Because a baby's small, so primarily we're not going to be able to do the abdominal thrusts.
No.
We can, however, if you put baby along your forearm, like this, and you can just hold the jaw in your hand, OK? We can still do the back blows, so we can still do a back blow.
Is that how hard you would hit?
Yeah,
that is quite firm. That's firmer than you think, isn't it?
It's firmer than you think, and I can do it. Obviously, with Ben, I couldn't, but on a dummy, I can. But it's firmer than you think. And if that hasn't worked,
I think a lot of parents would be worrying that you would damage the baby's spine by bashing them that hard.
but you've got to remember that this is a baby who currently can't breathe. So at the end of the day, we've got to try and shift whatever it is that's in the windpipe. OK. Again, between the blows, check to see if there's anything you can pull out. 5 of those. If that hasn't worked, turn them over. OK, and then instead of doing the abdominal thrusts, same idea, but we're actually going to do what are called chest thrusts, so with just 2 fingers, just below the nipples, again in the midline. We've always got baby at a little bit of an angle, because actually we're going to get gravity to help us here slightly.
Because you think that would be the wrong way?
To do well, it would ideally, obviously, when you've got head down this way, it's ideal, but you've got to have them this way up to do the chest thrust. It's still going to help to have a little bit of head down, and then we're going to do just below the nipples in the midline. We're going to again do just 5 chest thrusts with 2 fingers, and that again is going to force air out of the lungs and try to propel anything out of the airway.
Prevention better than cure, and a lot of babies actually choke on bits of toys from their older siblings.
Precisely, yeah. I mean, the most common things are food, sweets, toys, anything that's small. Always, you know, keep it out of reach, because that's what's going to save this happening in the first place. So then, obviously, the other scenario that's really important to cover, and I think is frightening for most parents, is if they found a child that was unconscious. And so I wanted to go through that first of all on the baby. Because that's really, really important. And there are, again, some slight differences in this between this and an adult. The first thing is the same as it is with an adult, is we always want to make sure we're safe. If the poor baby's been electrocuted, we don't want to become the next victim, so make sure that the surroundings are safe. We're then going to see if the baby's responsive. Now, this is where one of the differences comes, OK? So instead of shaking the baby, the best thing to do is still to see if they can wake up. So, hello, wake up, wake up. But actually, if you tap the bottom of their foot, that's a safer way of seeing whether you can get a response from a baby. When you know that they're unconscious, so they're not responding, we're going to do exactly the same thing we did with the adult. We're just going to tip the head back slightly, lift the chin, just to open the airway, and we're going to check to see if they're breathing. So by looking down the body, we can see if there's any movement, we can feel the breath against us, and we can hear if there's any breathing. If there is breathing, then that's great, and what we want to do is to put them into the recovery position. Now, the baby, the recovery position, is just as though you're cuddling them, head down again, though, and head out a little bit. So if there's any vomit or anything, it's all going to be able to then come out of the mouth, and it's not going to block up their airway. With a child over 1, recovery position is exactly the same as an adult. Ben, we've been practicing this earlier, so let's see if you can get yourself into the recovery position. OK. Normally I would be helping, but I'm being a bit late.
Yes,
Fantastic.
if your child can get themselves into the recovery position,
then obviously you don't need to do it.
Yes.
So that's pretty good, actually, Ben. Leg a little bit more over here. So what you want them to be stable, and of course...
And
the same
slightly tipped.
Slightly tipped,
precisely, so that airway's open, and again, any vomit can escape.
Well done, Ben.
Good. So the reason I wanted to highlight that is because this time of year, one of the things that's really that happens a lot to kids, I guess, is what are called febrile convulsions. A lot of parents get very frightened by this, and it can really scare people. Generally, they're quite safe, but what happens is that kids, particularly under the age of 3, can't control their temperatures effectively.
Yes.
And then their temperature goes very high, and I'm already seeing lots of kids with coughs and colds in surgery. Temperature goes very high, and they have a seizure.
Yeah.
OK, so we've got a couple of tips as to what to do with this, and I think we've got some tips that we can show, actually, for a febrile convulsion. The important thing, first and foremost, is that you don't try to restrain the child, so let them fit. Just try and protect them, perhaps put some cushions or pillows around them, OK? Then once they finish fitting, cool them down by taking off their clothes, leave the nappy on.
So the fitting itself is not a dangerous thing?
It's not a dangerous thing, and actually you're going to do more harm if you try to restrain them or stop them.
Right,
OK? So let them fit. It will normally only last a few minutes, and it will settle down again.
So frightening, though, for the parent as well.
Terrifying to see your child fit. And of course, as soon as you start to cool them down, then there's less chance of them fitting. So open a window, take their clothes off, give them some paracetamol. If it's the first time it's happened...
Would you put damp cloth on them or something like that?
You can do. They say don't put them into a cold bath. What you don't want to do is then go the opposite way and chill them down too much. So really, it's just about cooling them gently, and then get them checked out. If it's the first time that it's happened, or if it's gone on for a long time, you must go straight to the accident and emergency department. If they're unconscious still, then put them in the recovery position that we've just demonstrated.
And call 999.
And, of course, call 999, yes, if they're unconscious.
All right. Well, you're going to come back later on because we're going to do poisoning in the hub a little bit later.
Absolutely.
And if we've got time, we'll try and make time, because I think it's quite important that you do burns as well. So we'll try and do burns and poisoning in the hub.
So many things to cover.
I know.
And we can't do that today, then come back next week, we'll do that again. But we'll get in as much as we can today, and if we haven't covered it, we'll do that next week. Well done, Ben. Brilliant. You look well recovered. So right, don't worry if you can't remember all of Dr. Jonty's advice. It's on our website, itv.com/this morning.
All right, competition time now. How do you fancy a fabulous 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Right, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
It's showtime, and have we got a treat for you?
The biggest thing to happen to competition